All right. So software, so SME stands for Storage Made Easy. That's what we do. We make working with storage really simple. Today we're going to be talking about the Enterprise File Fabric. We're a partner of Cloudian. Does anybody know or not know what Cloudian does? Why don't I do a 30-second recap? So Cloudian, yeah, can we turn it up a little bit? Up, very good. One, two. Is that better? All right, David. So Cloudian makes storage, software-defined storage. And so with the Cloudian storage product, it is cost-effective. It's one of the most available and highly durable softwares in the market. And so you can get petabytes and petabytes of storage. Now, with those petabytes of storage, you probably want to migrate your data onto, from whatever storage array you currently have. And that's where Storage Made Easy comes in. So Storage Made Easy, we do a number of things, but today I'm going to be talking to you about accelerated data transfers. These data transfers can be rack to rack, or they can be from the cloud in using a technology that we call EMStream. So today, you've got multiple filers, and your editors, they're moving data between different systems. And whenever you're moving that data, whether that's from Azure Cloud, whether it's from Cloudian, whether that's from an Isilon over to a StorNext, all copies are the same. They start at the beginning and they go to the end. It's nice and slow. You move the file all the way over. Maybe you move a few files at the same time if you have some sort of specialized software. Well, what if you had software that went out, indexed everything, looked at big files, could break them into pieces, and move them from any storage platform to any other storage platform, whether it's in the data center, in the cloud, in multiple pieces. So there are other people out there that do that. They move your data from a laptop in. We do it whether your data is in the cloud, whether it's on-premise, whether it's between different on-premise filers. Cloud to cloud, so I can do AWS to Google, I can do Google to Microsoft, I can do Wasabi, I can do Wasabi down to Cloudian. Think of us as a universal protocol gateway that is able to accelerate data transfers wherever possible. Certain protocols I can't do that on, so I can talk FTP, but FTP doesn't have the mechanisms I need to break it into pieces and do an accelerated transfer. So, going straight to your question, the EMStream technology is going to work for on-premise object like Cloudian or other on-premise object systems. On-premise file, that could be your StorNext, your Isilon, your NetApp, your whatever it is. It can work with clouds. It can work between two on-premise filers. It can work from a on-premise object to a cloud, between clouds to an on-premise filer. You mix and match it however you want. We're going to make moving storage nice and easy for you. We handle all the permissions. We handle all the protocols. We handle all the data movement. And then we're going to make it even easier. So not only can we move all of your data between these different sources, but we're going to allow your end users to manage this through proper permissions. So we have clients for Mac, Windows, Linux. You install it on their desktop, and they're able to control the entire environment. You, as the administrators, handle the permissions. Or if you want, Firefox, IE, whatever modern web browser you want, you can run everything from that. You don't have to install a single thing on their system. We can even do accelerated data transfers with these web browsers without any plugins. Some of the web browsers like Chrome will allow you to do 4 simultaneous streams of data with no added in extensions. If you want faster, then you have to install our extension on the actual system. And so now you've got somebody in the field, they have content, they've got IE open, they want to pull a 1 terabyte file, they click and drag that into the browser, you can put it straight into Cloudian, you can put it straight into an AWS bucket, wherever, however you want. We make storage easy to use. So now let's talk about a little bit of the performance relating to this. So, like I said, there are other people out there that move data around, but they primarily work with moving data from, London to Mumbai or something like that. Why don't they do things inside the data center? Because they use proprietary technology. They usually take all storage protocols, FYI, are TCP. And so to accelerate the data, they change it to UDP. Now that makes them a little bit faster, I'll be clear there. But when they're moving intra-data center, and you've got a rack here and you've got another rack 30 feet away, that's not efficient. It's not efficient to go from TCP to UDP, over 2 racks, back to TCP. You're just wasting all the CPU time, the encryption, everything like that. So we ran a couple of tests with our technology right before the show. We didn't necessarily tune it, for the test that we're running. So what we did was we told the technology, I'm going to move up to 8 files at the same time and break those files into up to 8 pieces. So you'll see that this blue line is the number of streams of data. I hit 64 streams of data because what I did was I moved a terabyte of data that consisted of 10 100 gigabyte files. And all the tests I'm going to show you are going to be the same. We moved those 10 files. We got about 16 gigabit, so I had a 25 gig NIC in this machine. Standard Intel hardware. It had 32 physical cores. I moved it across. When the first 8 files were finished, it picked up the next 2. You can see the number of streams died off pretty quickly. I did 16 streams. We moved a terabyte in under 10 minutes between 2 different file systems. And so this is what you're doing today. Now you introduce Cloudian. So Cloudian speaks a different API. It speaks S3. S3 is a little bit different API, and you're thinking, well, you know, Cloudian, I thought that's nearline storage. What's going to be the change in performance? Well, in that last slide, I was hitting an average of 15.5 gigabits. Using an S3 backend, I'm hitting 15 gigabits, so only a little bit of technology to accelerate the transfer. You can see that because, again, it's a different technology, these technology use things like tokens, API streams, and whatnot, a little bit longer to ramp up. When the streams came off, they changed a little bit, took a little longer to initiate some streams. But overall, that same 1 terabyte of data between 2 racks in a data center, 25 gig NIC card, moving at 15 gigabits, moved all the data in 11 minutes. Your editors can move their data around. You don't have to be in the picture. Now let's talk about these other scenarios where you've got a data center on the East Coast to the West Coast, because that's a common one. So do we accelerate data not just when we're in in the same rack? The answer is absolutely yes. Coast to coast, averaging 8 gigabytes. We move that same data in 30 minutes. And what you'll see here is, again, 64 streams of data. Now, I didn't have a dedicated pipe, and so we only had a 10 gig pipe. You can see that it was bursting up and down with other people, other traffic on the pipe. Same similar story. Again, if I changed this to UDP, would it go faster? Yes, but one of the benefits of our software is we're not charging you based on the speed of the data, we're not metering it. You're buying it, you're installing it, you're paying for a server, and you're moving as much data as you want, whether that's inside your data center, outside your data center. Everything's encrypted, AES 256, in motion and with Cloudian storage at rest. Okay, now let's talk about international. So let's do a stream of traffic from London to the East Coast and a stream of traffic from London to the West Coast. London to the East Coast, we're averaging 10 gigabit on that line. Now I think I got lucky here because I'm on the West Coast, I'm in Silicon Valley. When I was moving the state, it was in the afternoon. It was probably midnight in London. Nobody was touching that line, so I had the whole thing luckily to myself. So what you're going to see is that London transfer is gorgeous. I hit 10 gig. I went all the way 10 gig until I finished those first 8 files. Next 2 came across. It looks just like your inter-data center transfer. It's great. It's simple. It's easy. And again, you didn't have to worry about what protocol. Was this coming from Azure? What it's landing on? My West Coast one, a little bit more up and down. I went from London to California. I only had a 5 gig pipe here because I was on a different ISP. But again, we adapt for the traffic. We, again, averaged around 4 gigabits a second, and we moved that data nice and simple. So now Storage Made Easy does more than just accelerate your data transfers. When you install us in your environment, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go out there, we're going to walk all of your existing storage. We're going to know where all your files are. Once we know where all your files are, we can extract metadata. How much metadata we extract is up to you. So the most simple metadata extraction is what's the file name, what's the size, what's the last modified date and time. More advanced metadata is, well, let's take a proxy of this, let's send it up to Google Vision, let's get a transcript from it, let's get image recognition, let's get celebrity recognition, and we're going to store that all in your file system with the file. You can mine it. Because we know where all your data is through our web browser, through our Mac, Windows, Linux clients, you're going to be able to allow your users to see all the storage, move it as they need. Now you can have somebody like a content owner putting data up in an S3 bucket. Instead of you always pulling it down, you pull it down when you need it. So you're not paying for that storage, you're not keeping petabytes on site that you don't need. And then, of course, in this talk, we talked about accelerated data transfers. So if you like us, come by our booth. We're in booth 10-830. We're a partner of Cloudian here, and we'd love to talk to you about how we can make accessing any of your storage easier, no matter what the backend storage is, accelerate those transfers, extract metadata, give you a single namespace, make your life easy. So again, I'm Doug Soltesz, and
all right,
now we have a raffle.
Thanks, Doug. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Any questions for Doug just before he ends? Or yes, okay.
We just lost a server, 28 back. You know, we got it repaired, we got it back. And if I understand right, you could set it up so we could actually store on the cloud?
Yeah, so there'd be two ways to handle that. Yeah, so the question was, you know, we've got servers. Certain servers out there maybe use something like ZFS. It's not a cluster file system. You lose a server, you could lose everything. So there's two ways to solve that problem. The first way is to talk to the guys here at Cloudian. They're an object-based solution. They use erasure coding. You're going to have multiple nodes. A single node's down. You don't lose anything. The data automatically gets rebuilt. You're perfectly fine. But, of course, an entire data center can go down. A sprinkler goes off. Something bad happens. North Korean hackers get in there. So I want to take my data. I want to send it somewhere that's offline, right? Now, today, for you, that's probably tape. And that's good, and you give to Iron Mountain and it goes off. But now if you look at something like Amazon, they've got Glacier. Or if you look at Google, they've got cold storage or something like that, where they're charging you like pennies per terabyte per month. Now what they're going to do is they're going to charge you either more when you access the data, or they're going to give you something like if you give us the data in Glacier and you want the data back, you can't have it for 4 hours. Well, that's fine. It probably took me longer to get it off tape anyway. We speak all those protocols, and so what you'd be able to do is have your data, have us take a copy, stick it up in Amazon Glacier, hypothetically. You pay your few pennies per terabyte a month. You lose that entire server. Now you just ask us to bring all that data back to your new server. And you get Cloudian.